When Brenna entered the first grade, she was super excited to learn how to read and could not wait to read books on her own. To practice reading, the teacher would bring a group to the reading table and the group would read the same book together out loud with the teacher. Brenna found out that she did not like the reading circle because all of the stories were plain and boring. Reading wasn't as fun as she expected, so she chose not to read or participate in the reading circle. Due to this behavior, the teacher put Brenna in after-school reading lessons that were even more boring. Brenna's parents were very concerned and scared that their daughter would fall behind in academics. When Brenna entered the second grade, she met her new teacher, Mrs. Leckie. Mrs. Leckie was so confused on why Brenna did not like to be in reading circles and talked to her about the situation. Mrs. Leckie noticed that Brenna was capable of reading, but she needed more advanced stories, so she sent her to the library to pick out her own books to read out loud. Brenna loved how when Mrs. Leckie read out loud to the class, she made fun voices and acted out the stories. She would then imitate this and act out her stories when she read to Mrs. Leckie, because reading was more fun that way. Mrs. Leckie also read interesting books like Holes and Wayside Stories, and Brenna saw that there were so many good books out there to enjoy. This caused Brenna to begin to read more and more. Her stories became so advanced that she was totally separated from the reading circle. Mrs. Leckie even sent her to her old first grade class to read out loud to the first graders and show her previous teacher that she could read. Mrs. Leckie even pushed Brenna to be creative in class. She encouraged her to write stories and even allowed her to make a newsletter for the class. Mrs. Leckie demonstrated AIR's principle of getting to know the student and accommodating students individually by what interests them. Without Mrs. Leckie taking time to understand, Brenna might still have been opposed to reading and miss out on her love for books. The end.